Aisling O'Reilly, who was at the Donegal Tyrone game on Sunday, is going to join us in a moment. Tommy Rooney, 1/3 of the football pod, is with us. Tommy, good morning to you.
Hey lads, how you doing? Just dealing with WhatsApps here from Dave and Brady.
Yeah.
How are you getting on?
Do not read them out. Is the advice. When in that, I could tell from the way you were about to. I was like, you're gonna talk us through what you're getting there?
Yeah, no, that was an interesting 15 minutes. There's a lot to get into. There's a lot going on in the football pod this week. I presume you haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. It was out yesterday evening. Andy Moran never bought into the hype around Donegal. And as you heard there, it was all because of a game in 2019 when he was 36 and he came on and he roasted a couple of Donegal defenders, and he just hasn't bought into them since. And I should have listened to him, because I think we all picked Donegal in the quick picks last Friday on.
Yeah. We didn't assume Michael Murphy was going to be sent off though, or miss a penalty. I
didn't think Michael Murphy would be starting. I think that was possibly the first mistake they'd made. We'll hear from Aisling in a minute about Tyrone, but yeah, Donegal are the big letdowns, aren't they?
They are, and you can paint that. The context matters, and in recent years they have been letdowns at other stages as well. And I think they've been one of the most disappointing teams in Gaelic football in recent years. But there's a massive caveat, I think, with last weekend with regards to the Murphy thing. Now, there will come a time when Michael Murphy's not available for Donegal again, and they will have to just get used to life without him. And maybe against Derry they showed that they can do that, but against Tyrone they showed that there's a limit to what they can do without him. And maybe they just need to step up when he's not around. But still, being down to 14 men, missing a penalty like that, and seeing him kind of go like that, I don't know, I think that has to have a huge impact on the result at the end of the day. And while Tyrone were good, I still think that was a result-turning couple of minutes, actually, the whole Michael Murphy saga in the first half.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think with 10 minutes to go, there was only a point or so in it. So yeah, it was fine lines, but it's been 3 years of fine lines for Donegal.
Aisling's with us now. Aisling, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, lads. How are you?
You were at the Donegal Tyrone game. Owen's making the point that the sending off obviously defines the result. I'm not sure that it fully defines the result. It's clearly a massive moment, right? And I'm not suggesting it isn't. But Tyrone's bench is now one of the best benches in the country. Maybe all those players, by the time Tyrone make it to Croke Park, if they make it that far, are starting. So it's a different point. But at the moment, Tyrone's bench is sensational. Yeah,
and that's the difference with this Tyrone team, I think, that we haven't seen maybe in previous years. Because in that last quarter, seeing Colin McShane, Conor McKenna, Tiernan McCann, these players that will be starting, as you said, you're probably in the next game or so, but having them come off the bench, like I was speaking to Kieran McGeary after the game, and he said, it was dire conditions, it was baking hot, and he said he just looked over at the subs coming on and he's seen these lads and he just said, thank God, and he said, we haven't had that. This is new for us to have lads like this coming on and that make a massive impact. Like Conor McKenna was down in the back line. I think he sprinted the whole length of the field and he set up a score at that point, and then he put it over at another point, and it was like 30 degrees and he was just so energetic, and he was like fist pumping the whole way. He was just so like up for this game. He's delighted to be back on the pitch, and yeah, as you said, it's these subs that are really making the difference.
One thing that we can't really tell from watching the TV is the pattern of where the defenders are aligned and how many people are behind the ball when Tyrone are out of possession. And it's something we've kind of been obsessed with since they shipped all those goals against Kerry. So were they super defensive out of possession? Were they kind of old school Mickey Hart style, or are they at least continuing to keep three players up?
I wouldn't say three, no. Like Darren McCurry would stay up, but they had the likes of Matty Donnelly. He was in full forward, but he was down to be in full forward against Donegal, and he went out to the midfield. And then for the second half, he pushed in, and they kept him up there then, and he got 3 points. They fed him the ball, and that made such a difference. So, no, they're definitely more attacking. They always will have one up, but definitely not the three. They would get behind the ball then, and they'll break a pace and then move up the pitch. But I suppose there's a big thing against Donegal was the weather. So I don't think they wanted to have everyone back because it was too hard to maintain through the whole game. So they always kept Darren up there, but and he was rattled at the start, Darren. Like, he scored 10 points against Cavan, and I'm sure going out against Donegal, they were saying, we'll man mark him, and that's exactly what they done. And he was rattled the first 15 minutes. His pass were going astray, even like a hand pass, someone coming through, he was putting it wrong, and they definitely got in his head a small bit, but he definitely turned it around then, and I think he finished the game with 5 points. But yeah, we're definitely seeing more direct ball, direct style of play, very different, I would say, from the Mickey Hart style.
And the thing, Aisling, as well, is that we kind of like almost forget how unbelievable McCurry and Donnelly are at their best. Especially McCurry now, in fairness, anybody who's watched Tyrone this year knows how well he's playing again this year, but you suspect that with McKenna and McShane in the starting team, and who knows if Darragh Canavan's going to come back to the starting team as well come the end of the year. Like, I mean, he's a live option to get to an All-Ireland semi-final, you suspect, and McDonaghy in there too. Like, someone like McCurry doesn't necessarily get drowned out by that, you suspect. He then gets the weakest man marker in the opposition defence, and he goes to another level potentially.
Exactly, they can't man mark every single player, and this is something that I think Tyrone have now. They have such 6 strong forwards, if not more, coming off the bench. So yeah, it's going to be very tough. But yeah, on Darren, it's funny. I think this year he's really coming alive, and I was speaking to a few former players, and you know, they said like he doesn't drink, he doesn't go out, he's like in the gym, he does a lot of his own work, and he seems like this year, like I spoke to him as well after the Cavan game, and he's put a lot of work in it, like you know, outside of their training, and you can really see the difference in him. So yeah, delighted for him that he's really coming alive, and he's hard to stop. But as you've said, they have another like 6 or 7 lads that are seriously hard to stop on that forward line.
What's their thoughts? Like, I'd be keen to get both of your thoughts on this. Aisling, to you first. Like, was one side of these semi-finals much stronger than the other? Because like we did have Paddy Andrews on last week, who had no doubt about the fact that whoever was going to win Donegal Tyrone was going to win Ulster. But the manner in which Monaghan won last week probably gives second thoughts to that. So what are your thoughts on that firstly, Aisling?
Yeah, like I would have tipped Armagh before the game. I definitely thought Armagh were going to do something this year. So yeah, disappointed for them. But you just don't know what Monaghan team you're going to get. I think that's Mickey Graham made that point to me after the game. He said they're a bit like Cavan. You just don't know what way they're going to turn up or what like performance they're going to put in sometimes. And obviously they're playing Division 1 football. They're consistently in Division 1 along with Kerry and Dublin. I think they're the only other consistently team that's there. So that's no mean feat either, to be playing at that level all the time. So you just don't know what you're going to get. Now, after seeing that game and seeing them go down and have such a lead, go behind and come back, that showed serious character, and that was very impressive now to see that. So after seeing that, I do think they will put it up to Tyrone, but I do think the Tyrone Donegal game was maybe of a bit of a different standard, and I do think that Tyrone will get over the line against Monaghan, but I do think it'll be really close.
Yeah, Tommy, I think the fact that it's in Croker is really important from a Monaghan perspective, and them just not performing brilliantly in Croker in Championship. There's been a couple of league games where they played quite well and they ran Dublin close, but I think switching the Ulster final to Croke Park is a big win for Tyrone.
I'm not sure if it's as big a win as the Mayo switch here, but I would have been in the same boat as Owen, I'd say maybe a week ago, thinking that the Ulster final is going to be quite close, and I still feel like that. Now, I think Monaghan don't get the credit they sometimes deserve, but one of the big alarm bells that have been ringing is probably defensively. Like, Armagh racked up 14 points in that first half. They probably could have had 20 points in that first half, even though Armagh's defensive issues were exposed by Monaghan so well with the 4 goals, and they were like glaring holes in that defence. But Monaghan had issues as well. Like Armagh got themselves back into position from 8 or 9 points down. Armagh should have won that game. They should have held on. They were a point up with 5 minutes to go, and they actually gave the ball away 5 different times in the last few minutes. Rian O'Neill kicked 2 balls over the end line. Stephen Campbell, the captain, gave away 2 hand passes. Now, in fairness, if those hand passes got away, it would have been goals for Armagh, and the game would have been over. And I think young Conor O'Neill gave away a ball as well. And on the flip side of that, this Monaghan side, one of the counties with the smallest populations in the country, have some of the best winners in the game, you'll say. Players who know how to win matches, these tight Ulster games. Have won a number of Ulster titles over the last 10 years when it's been very competitive. And you could hear, I'm not sure if it was Banty or one of the selectors roaring, don't force it. They're a point down in injury time. They win their 2 frees. McManus steps up. There's no one else you'd rather in that position. Like Andy and Paddy are raving about him this week on the podcast. He's somebody that started his career in defence, his intercounty career in defence, just like Paddy and Andy.
That's why they love him so much.
I don't think they ended up with the same ability to take frees in the 72nd minute as Conor McManus did. So, like, I just wouldn't write off Monaghan too early. Like, Tyrone it's great to see Tyrone come to fruition at the weekend because it was a massive game for both counties.
Well, let me put it like this: Who are either of these two teams genuine All-Ireland contenders at this point, Tommy?
I don't think Tyrone are yet. I genuinely don't. Although I do only think there are only 2 All-Ireland contenders this year. I think Mayo without Cillian O'Connor just aren't good enough.
I don't know. I think this Tyrone side, as Ashing started this conversation out, with the quality of players they have on the bench, if they get better, if they get a bit more time and a bit more fitness, for example, they'll have a game in Croker. If they win the Ulster final, they'll be in Croke Park for 3 games in a row if they were to go on. And like if McShane gets back to the level where he's a potential footballer of the year over the next couple of weeks, which is not beyond the bounds of possibility, how are they not All-Ireland contenders?
Do you know what? I was probably a bit too rash here to write them off, because if you were to compare both benches at the weekend, we had a chat in the episode here about the Dublin bench in 2017 comparison to the weekend. Like at the weekend, Tom Lahiff, Sean Bugler, Cian Murphy and Conor Pascal come off the bench. Ashing for Tyrone was a Tiernan McCann who come on and got 3 points. Like Shane comes on. You spoke about McKenna's influence when he came on. Like that is
come on.
Box up players coming off the bench.
And like that's how we would have spoken about Dublin for the last few years. Oh, the bench is the difference. It's in that last quarter and they empty the bench and sure, good luck. That's that. And that's the way we always spoke about it. But this is what Tyrone have. I don't know if they're a team a bit in transition. Obviously the new manager's in and they're working towards a goal, and I don't know if it's a year too soon, but I am a bit more on the boat with Ger that like they get a bit of luck on their side. They get over Monaghan, say, and then they've a bit of luck on their side. I could see them. I could see them in an All-Ireland final. Like, absolutely. I don't know why we'd write them off. If you look at them on paper, you wouldn't write them off.
Yeah, and like this group have been in an All-Ireland final very recently. They know what all the pomp and circumstances is going to be like, and it'll be their third opportunity to try and take that in recent years. So look, I just think that Spillane wrote them off immediately last week. I was like, that does not make any sense. That is like, that's right up there with your core prediction last year, Pat. But sure, look, we'll leave it there, folks. Sorry, last question. Who is going to come out of Connacht this weekend? Aisling, I'll start with you.
Oh, do you know what? I think without Cillian O'Connor, I would tip Galway. I just think he's too massive of a loss for them, and I've seen them a bit in the league. I've seen them against Roscommon. That was a messy game against Roscommon. It was a really wet, bad conditions day, but no, just the talent that they have, and I do think they'll get over the line there. They'll probably be that bit's too strong for them, just with their bench and stuff too. I think they'll just get over the line, and just without Cillian O'Connor, I don't see it happening for Mayo, even though I would like it to. I have a lot of family in Mayo and they'll kill me for saying that, but I think it's going to be Galway.
All right, Tommy, I guess we're going to have to listen to the football pod to get your prediction.
I don't think I gave a prediction, Jared, because I just got too excited thinking about the game, the way the two lads were talking about it. Paddy was wearing a maroon top, so Andy wasn't happy with that. I'm pretty sure he tipped Galway, Paddy did.
He wasn't sure himself. I think, did he not take issue with one of our tweets about that?
I think that he was just in the wind-up there, but I'm pretty sure he tipped Galway. He's a big fan of Joyce and Dively. They get into it really well in it. I think Andy reckons that both Shane Walsh and Jim O'Connor will be risked in the sense that Michael Murphy was risked at the weekend. Okay. So, should be a box office game. I'll be there in Croke Park for Off the Ball as well, so we'll have plenty to talk about next week about it.
No spoiler alerts for the pod. Thanks very much. Aisling, O'Reilly, Tommy Rooney, thanks a million for that, giving us those thoughts. If you've got a view, you can drop a comment in the YouTube channel